그대는 beautiful 모든 게 wonderful 행복은 이런 거겠죠 그런 그대에게 고마워요 그대는 beautiful 영원히 wonderful 사랑이 이런 거겠죠 고맙단 말밖에 못하네요
The city, but I am tired of the same people, of the same things. I want to escape now, to another place now, but with you, cause I don't want to be alone. Don't forget about me, I can live in your dreams. I'm not the person who make you fall in love and then fall asleep. When I see you can breathe, you make me think what it would be like if I kissed you on the lips. Don't leave me, just stay. Take me, take me, take. Please don't look at me. Sorry if I am walking out, but take me, take me, take. Please don't look at me. Sorry if I am walking out, but it's better. Maybe if you don't love me, why I have to stay more? Sorry if I am walking out, but it's better. Maybe if you don't love me, why I have to stay more? Let me do this, whatever. It will make me feel better. Please don't look at me that way. Stay here with me all night. Sleep now, just close your eyes. Stay here with me all night. Sleep now, just close your eyes. Don't forget about me. I can live in your dreams. I'm not the person who make you fall in love and then fall asleep. When I see you can breathe, you make me think what it would be like if I kissed you on the lips. Don't leave me, just stay. Take me, take me, take. Please don't look at me. Sorry if I am walking out, but take me, take me, take. Please don't look at me. Sorry if I am walking out, but it's better. Maybe if you don't love me, why I have to stay more? Sorry if I am walking out, but it's better.
좋아하는 건 뭐가 있을까 어느새 그대의 모든 걸 알죠 나를 위해 노력하는 모습 아름다운 걸요 많이 힘들지는 않나요